Hello and welcome to Geek on My Sleeve. I am Peter. I wear my geek on my sleeve, and I'm here with my co host Carl. And at Geek on My Sleeve, we do spoiler free book reviews and live book discussions.
Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Today, we are going to be doing a new to Booktuber tag.
New to BookTube.
Carl, why did you start this channel?
So there's a couple different reasons why I started this BookTube channel. One of them just to have a nice little corner of the internet where people who enjoy similar like books can come together and just geek out over these books. I've always really enjoyed talking about books with other people. I've found them to be a great way to kind of find common ground and shared interest with others. But for me, I just really didn't have a place to do that. So I wanted to make this channel, and big focus was just to get the discussion around these books. Nice little corner of the internet to come together and geek out with others. How about you, Pete?
Very much the same, to kind of fill the void in my life because I felt like I was missing something. Prior, I've
Mm,
always had, I played soccer, so there was a team, a lot of common ground, something to talk over. Then I went to more video game esque stuff to talk about, and a lot of my core group of friends ended up moving, so it was not a huge deal. Could still do that online. And then with life going on and people being on different schedules, it made it complicated. So now I haven't had as much time to dedicate to those passions. I've now got this new passion project of running a booktube channel and to create that space on the internet where I can say I wear my geek on my sleeve and having a common community who can also do that. And the joy of technology today, you can answer a text message a minute from now or a week from now, and it's as if you're in the same conversation. So time and space is now my playground,
there
and
you go.
that's why I'm in this space today.
What are some fun and unique things you can bring to BookTube, Pete?
The biggest thing that we're bringing to BookTube is live book discussions. I see a lot of reviews over content, and
Mm-hmm.
personally, I never trust one review anyway because
Mm-hmm.
everyone is entitled to their opinion and it has their own opinion bias. So for us doing it live, we've kind of got like a loose outline typically. We want to progress
Mm-hmm.
throughout it, but it's more about involving the community. So, developing a community and then doing it live and having them able to interact.
I feel right now more than ever too, with the current global pandemic going on, it's that much more important. Through social distancing, we're even further apart. It's harder to really find those community spaces or watering holes, if you will, in person. So to have our geek out sessions, yeah, it just great place to come together and socialize and geek out over books. And I'm really looking forward to it.
Really looking forward to it. What would you say you're most excited about?
Oh, I see what you did there. I see what you did there. Connecting with others and geeking out over books. For a long time now, a lot of my friends will let me know that I am extremely geeky and proud of it. Looking forward to finding other like-minded individuals. You don't have to be as geeky, but this is a safe place to be geeky. Always learning, always trying to discover new things, and that's one of the many things I enjoy about books is not only going and escaping reality, but just constantly learning and growing.
Yeah.
So, Pete, why do you love reading?
Why do I love reading? To take a break from the day to day grind of life and really go on an adventure. Take an adventure in a new world, new realm, new people, epic powers and abilities
Mm,
that you know, aren't currently in our space. We've talked about it prior how after playing, hours and hours of League of Legends, there are times where, you got to get from one end of the grocery store to the other, and now there's this couple in your way, and you just want to blink through them, but you can't.
Uh,
So, being able to go on that adventure in a new world is exhilarating, and also the critical thinking or puzzle like aspect to the books.
mhm.
I'm always thinking about how the foreshadowing is going to play out later in the book, how, the characters are going to get through a certain situation.
There's just so much there. There's so many good reasons and so many reasons why I enjoy reading. For the sci-fi fantasy element where you go and you can escape reality, kind of give your mind a break from adulting, if you will, to just learning new subjects. There will be times where I get interested in a new subject and I just binge all the material I can find on it just to learn more about it, whether it's relevant or not. We live in a great time thanks to technology where you can literally read and learn about anything, whether it be fantasy sci-fi battles to picking up a new skill.
What book and or series got you into this reading adventure of yours?
So there's a couple at different points in my life. I would consider myself a late bloomer when it came to reading. I remember being in grade school, a lot of my peers reading the Hardy Davis novels and Captain Underpants and et cetera, et cetera. But it probably wasn't until intermediate school when I picked up the Jedi Apprentice series that I found my first series that made me want to read more. But I think it was probably even a little bit later, closer to junior high, high school, when I really got the reading bug. When I picked up a Dragonlance series, and I think Lord of the Rings had come out, and I was really getting into the fantasy type realm, and the Dragonlance series was just more kind of along those lines that I remember walking through the hallway already with a stack full of textbooks and having the annotated Dragonlance Chronicles, this trilogy, all packed together, just this monster of a book, and just devouring it. So, yeah, probably Dragonlance was when I really just doubled down and was reading constantly ever since. How about you, Pete? What series really got you into reading?
So I'd have to say the Mistborn trilogy by Brandon Sanderson, and it not only hooked my attention for the magic system, the twist at the end just made me rethink everything prior, which
Yes.
is, kind of back to that critical thinking part. It allows you to put other things into perspective.
Brandon Sanderson is amazing. I have so much to say about Mistborn, but we'll save that later for when we get around to that Geek Out stream,
Yeah.
right? What question would you ask your favorite booktuber?
Hey, Milo, want to take a trip? Nope, not going back into missile range. And what I mean by that is like, it's more just to geek out with them than it's really a
Mm-hmm.
question. Because
Mm-hmm.
so many questions come to mind, and some of them seem a little forward, and others, it's not the direction I want to go. It's more
Mm-hmm.
trying to create a common ground or community. There's not just one.
Yeah. I think you can learn a lot too about the other person just by geeking out with them and talking to them about these books and their perspectives on things, right? It's nice to have a series or a fandom that you could come together and experience with others, but a lot of it also comes down to their point of view coming into it and seeing their perspective on it.
What question would you ask your favorite booktuber?
Pete, you're my favorite booktuber.
Ah,
And my question for you is the next one on this new BookTube tag list. What challenge do you think starting a BookTube channel will be the hardest to overcome?
oh man. So time perspective and leveling up. Time,
Mm,
because there is never enough of it, and trying to balance it between having a new baby, having a full time job, and this more being a passion project for me
mhm.
is where I get into my perspective. It's just weird seeing myself and hearing myself after the fact, after this is over and I'm trying to edit it. It's weird. Um, but that's where you've helped me out a lot, putting it into perspective for we've got goals. Yeah, they don't always happen the way we want, but due to those goals, what is good enough and where can we progress and learn from there? So, not that I can't address it now, but something to look forward to the future. As far as leveling up all the way around, I have a lot of tendencies for likes and ums that I do, and how I never look at the camera. Uh, right there, that thing. I never look at the
Eh,
camera, and there's a couple other things that I'd like to work on personally for kind of my public speaking persona aspect. And then
mhm.
also they're leveling up for the work I'm doing here for the video editing. There are so many cool functionality tools, utility tools, things that I could be doing more, but I just need to have time to tinker and to play in that space to really develop the tools.
So say we all.
Yeah.
Very, very well said. A lot of what I had down for that question lines up there. It's to know when is good enough and when to move on to other things. We always want to strive to do better, to grow, to improve. But I've noticed one of our biggest challenges is we're both perfectionists at time, and watching and listening to ourselves talk and working on these projects. Each time we do a pass on something, we find more that we can do and improve, and it's getting that it's good enough. Next time we're going to do better. So Pete, when did you start reading?
So let me paint a picture for you here. I remember my mom and her friend allowing me to stay up on a school night to go to the midnight release of Harry Potter and seeing people in costume just talking to complete strangers about the previous book and how excited they were for the new book to come out. Like, that was amazing. But sadly, that's not what got me started. What got me started was when Carl here introduced me to the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson, and talked a little bit about it already. The magic system is amazing. The ending, what a twist. It's so well written that it just flips your whole world on its head. And it kind of
Yes.
created a life lesson for me where even though something looks good or evil, or you agree or you disagree with someone's opinion, you've got to understand that they come from a differing background, that you are only looking at it from your side with your experience. You need to understand they have a different outlook on life, on events, on time.
So well said. And that's a big part of why I'm so passionate about reading and wish more people at least read one book a year. So many people just don't read anymore. And there's so many lessons that you get even from reading sci-fi fantasy books, and you get to walk a mile in these characters' shoes and learn empathy through their eyes and experience these things without needing to leave your house and risk exposure to the pandemic sweeping the globe, the zombie apocalypse, if you will. um,
Oh, so many memes.
so many memes. Who knows? Maybe we'll throw some in there for you guys when we go back and re-edit this.
Speaking of which, where do you read? Oftentimes people say, oh, well, I don't have time for that. You have time what you make time for. But for
Yes,
you, where do you read?
everywhere. So typically, if I'm physically reading where my eyes are moving across words, sitting down, looking at my phone, and or at the computer reading something more tech slash educational related. But when I read, as in just consuming literature all the time, everywhere, it's more when I don't. If I'm doing something mundane, repetitive, household chores, going to the gym, in the car, I'm listening to a book, re listening to a book, or just, yeah, anywhere and everywhere I can. And it allows me just to get through so much literature. And I feel like I've only scratched the surface there. There are so many good books out that I just want to get to. It's almost a shame that I've reread some of my favorite series 10 plus times now or listened to. How about you, Pete? Where do you like to read?
Same everywhere except for not. I typically don't do a whole lot of like reading the words. I do a lot more listening. That's just due to everything I've got going on in life, but everywhere. I'll put on my book on Audible, and I found this funky headband that I can sleep with. So that way I don't interrupt the missus, the missus gets the TV on low volume. I put on my headband. I turn on my sleep timer. As soon as I get up, I back it up a little bit so I know I've got all my content. I
Hmm.
go and I've got a shower speaker. I just Bluetooth to my shower speaker while I'm getting ready in the morning. And then I'm going down, eating breakfast, feeding the little one. And I've just got my basic speaker on, or I'll put in one headphone. And then I go to my car and I connect to my car speaker. I get out of the car, put on my headphones, walk into work, then I do it all in reverse.
You got to start them young. Start the little ones listening to audiobooks with you, especially at that 2-3x speed, just to get them used to those fast talkers, right? It just goes back to what we were saying earlier. There's no excuse. There's so many great places to pick up books for free or cheap. We got a video on that. Audible is amazing. There is no excuse for you not to be listening or reading.
And to put that into perspective, you used to have to go to college and pay an absorbent fee or amount of time and go to a physical location to get your education. That is no longer the
Hmm.
case, and people are learning that more and more. And due to the
Hmm.
current times, people are pushing more and more online. There are literally master's courses that you can take where you're watching a guy on a screen. You can pause it, you can rewind it. If you've ever been daydreaming and doodling in class and you're like, wait a minute, what did he say? And then you got to
Right.
interrupt someone else and, get notes and this and that and the other. Like, I had a hard time because I knew the information was out there, so I never learned it. I just kind of
Mm-hmm.
data dumped it. So you can learn anything. And it's the same way with reading. Like, if you enjoy reading physical books, that's fine. You've got your phone on you anyway. They have Kindle Unlimited. If you enjoy listening to things, then you can do that. Most of them are always being turned into movies anyway, which that's a whole separate tangent. It's
Yeah,
never
that's a
quite
separate
as
rant.
good, and that's what I like reading is because I can they paint a picture, but I had
Hmm.
to generate it or create it in my own mind's eye. So now it
Hmm.
is with my own inflection on it.
So on that note, what kinds of books do you like to read?
I primarily go with anything not reality based. So sci-fi, fantasy, lit RPG, which is a big pull for me because I enjoy video games and it's a way to live vicariously through these characters, and that is just a cool concept I've really stuck with. And then the little bit of reality I do is,
Entrepreneurial?
yes, that word, entrepreneurial. And with that, there's a lot of good insight, and everybody always has their doubts, but it puts it into perspective, and it just it's like having that good friend who says, hey, you're being silly. You need to get your things together. Kind of like we were talking in our last Geek Out for the Divine Dungeon series.
On the entrepreneurial, like there's just so much good stuff out there for cheap. Kind of along the lines where you talked about you used to have to go to college to get this type of material where it was behind this huge paywall, where you used to have to go to a couple $1,000 seminar to get all this information. There are a number of amazing entrepreneurs, business people, so on and so forth, where, yeah, they do these seminars for thousands of dollars, or for $10, $15, you can get their book and have access to all the same information at your own pace, at your own speed, take your own notes. And thanks to technology, more often than not, you can reach out to them directly through social media, just like you can us. Links below. For me, the majority of my collection falls into the realm of sci-fi fantasy. Huge nerd. We are products of Trekkies who like to read Harry Potter to us, and we were listening to audiobooks on road trips before it was cool and before they started hiring these full casts of voice actors to narrate these audiobooks, and it was just some old guy droning on in the background. I'm all across the board. If something catches my interest, I'll start consuming literature about it. Or if I have some course related material that piques my interest and it doesn't go deep enough, I find myself picking up additional books kind of along those lines to go further down the rabbit hole. I was skimming through my selection and just pulling out some of the different categories, and it's everything from business to history. I have plenty of management books, philosophy, fiction, science, technology, motivation and inspiration, entrepreneurial, etc., etc., etc. The information's out there. You just got to go grab it. Mm-hmm.
There is a book for everyone.
Yes.
There, and kind of like we were talking before they started hiring these great, casting actors or full, staff to do it. But I guess what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say is we've all seen that B-rated movie, that guy who's
Mm-hmm.
just shooting it out of the back of his, car. There's a space for that and people enjoy that, but that's
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily where you want to start. You want to start with something that just grabs your attention, is
Yes.
beautifully executed, and
Yes.
after you gain a respect of what they're trying to create, like first book, always world building. I don't care who you
Mm-hmm.
are, I don't care what you're doing. There's a lot of world building because they got to bring you into their realm.
Right.
Then they can expand the characters, then they can, get you
Yes.
more involved with everything else going on. That's just a fact of life.
So, on that note, hello, BookTube. My name is Carl. This is my brother Peter, and we will be here looking forward to discussing books with you. We hope you can join us for the live book discussions currently being held Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern. We hope to stick to that time slot as long as it makes sense. And we're always looking for book suggestions. So if you have a book that you highly recommend, toss it in the comments below. Looking forward to connecting with you. Final thoughts, Pete? That
Welcome,
about
welcome to the realm, and see you soon. Yeah.
yes.
Yes.
Yes. See you soon.